This is Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for joining us here. I am Anthony Kaz from Kazoto Photo, and I am joined by
Brett Bess, better known as that Brett T guy on Instagram.
That is awesome, Brett. We had a great challenge last week. We're going to talk about it here. We did water photography this
Fantastic.
last week. It was pretty awesome. I had
Lots
a great
of fun.
time. I'm excited to tell everybody about it. And at the end, we're going to have a couple things going on. We're also going to pull this upcoming week's challenge. So, how was your week? What did you think of the challenge? How do you think it all went?
You know, it was actually pretty fun. There was several missed chances, missed opportunities. For me, I really, really wanted a couple certain photos that didn't work out. I didn't get the weather that I wanted. Regardless, I didn't start shooting actually my last photo until an hour and a half before deadline. Absolutely the truth. But it was good.
I get it.
The whole thing, yet again, made me walk through what I wanted, how I was going to shoot it, what the lighting was, the whole 9 yards, which I thought was really cool. How about you?
I agree. So I went into this one, I had a plan right away for a couple things. If anybody who follows me, and you know, I love water drop photography. Mm-hmm. So that was my go-to. I knew I was doing a water drop. I didn't want to do two. I wanted to, mix it up a little bit. So I had a plan of Thursday night. I set my studio up for water drop and I did one. I got, I loved the photo. I actually have two that I really liked. I'm saving one. I don't think it really worked for what I wanted to do here. And then honestly, I had a plan for other photos. I posted them today, actually, on my Instagram of my dog drinking water out of a bowl and then of a water wheel. And the water wheel didn't work the way I wanted. Didn't love it. My dog Basil, I liked that photo. Mm-hmm. But Sunday morning, and all week I was hoping for some rain and we didn't get anything until Sunday morning. And I looked at my daughter and I said, "Do you want to go splash in some puddles?" And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Absolutely, let's go." And we just walked around our neighborhood and I caught, I love the photo. It's going to go up here somewhere on the wall.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So, back to what we even talked about last week. Sometimes you got to get lucky. Yeah. Sometimes that weather just rolls in at the right time. I think that was about 2 hours before our deadline. So I was psyched about that.
Yeah. Everything about that photo, and I think I had reached out to you and kind of talked to you about it because I liked not only the photo, the action, but I really liked the color, the edit that you did. It was brilliant. I mean, to me, I really liked it. So
I appreciate that. And I said to you when you texted me and said, "Wow, I really like that." I think it's my favorite edit that I've ever done. Yeah, ever.
It shows. It shows.
I appreciate it. It's one of those things that I've been working towards, and it's a look that I've seen with some other artists, some other photographers, and there's always that in my mind. How did they do that? How did they get that coloring just that way? And I think I kind of figured it out a little bit on this one, and I was really happy with it.
We're going to have to talk because that glossy look, and I don't know how to explain that, but there is a glossy appearance to photos, and I tend to really gravitate towards that look. And I think next show I will bring up a couple examples to kind of show what I mean. You've got a matte finish kind of, but you've got also a kind of a glossy look. Yeah. It isn't just a reflection. Obviously you're going to get that on metallic or glass or any of that stuff. But when you can actually get it on some clothing where it's just very brilliant, not overly stated, but there's just this look to me in a photo that I call glossy. And sure. I know it's kind of odd to call it that because it's not really, but there's that look. And when I saw that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I do appreciate it. I mean, we're going to get into some of yours because I thought the Million Sunsets photo was stunning. I love that one. The other one, I want to know what's up with it. And I'm going to make a point here. So not for lack of ability, that one finished fourth in our voting.
Yep.
What I'm curious about, and I'd love to hear from the audience as we get into this, is did you understand it? So did you know what happened in that photo to make it?
How to get there.
I think it was more technically involved than what may have shown through on the screen, because the colors are visually beautiful.
Yep.
You know, I know just because I know you of what that photo is, but I want to hear you explain it so that the audience goes, oh, that's a lot more involved than what I may think.
Yeah. Well, so is your water drop. I mean,
and I felt the same way. I was actually curious about using that. I love the photo. I think it's great, but I think it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily come through on just a photo unless you know what you're looking
at. On all the parts that are in it. Yep.
Yes. And the same thing with both of the other ones too. There's so many details in them that I think are more difficult to capture than what you may know just at first glance. And you go, oh yeah, it's a little girl jumping in a puddle, or it's a splash, or it's bubbles, and so on and so forth. But there's so much more in there, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah. So, how about a drum roll?
Let's do it. All right. So we had, first I want to mention, turnout was awesome this week.
Oh, so, it was fantastic. We had 120 votes plus. Thank you everyone for voting. That interaction with everybody, the comments and everything was awesome.
Yeah. And we posted on our story, we posted on our, feeds, and, the story's great because it's easy for us to count. So thank you to everybody who does the story, but the comments are awesome when everybody's giving some feedback too.
Absolutely.
And, when you just vote on the story, we see, all right, this got 12 votes, this got 4 votes, whatever it might be. But on the comments, we get to see some people go, man, it's so hard to decide between 1 and 4, 1 and 3. And at least for the person who didn't get that vote, didn't earn that vote, it was a fight for that person mentally to figure it out. So thank you, everyone. It was awesome. We look forward to it growing. So tell your friends, tell your family. Let's keep it going. Love it. But as Brett said, let's talk about who won. Drum roll. With the most votes, I got on the board here. Brett had it last week. I got it this week. We had our number one, which was the water drop photo. And as Brett said, we're going to pull that up here, share it. And this photo is one of my favorite water drops that I've done. Everybody, Brett, you're seeing this, correct? A little better?
There it is.
All right. So, like I said in the beginning, I was a little worried that this wasn't going to come through the way I wanted it to. This whole process, so everybody knows, took about 2 hours all in all, and about 650 photos. And
I think that right there is explanation enough for the fact that this is just not a casual shot. There has to be a lot that goes behind this. I mean, me knowing photography a little bit, I know that there's got to be something going on with lighting. There's got to be something going on with your background.
Yeah.
How?
So, I mean, it's a process, and I'm not going to go into extreme detail here. So little teaser. I did record my whole process for this, and, I sped up it a little bit here. I'm going to post that video separate in a couple days.
Great idea.
So everybody can see what goes into this, because there's a lot of ways to do this. You can find all sorts of videos. That's how I learned how to do it. But I wanted to show everybody how somebody who's just been doing this about a year does a water drop photo and gets a shot like this. So this is one of my favorites. I've got a couple other really good water drops. All of them are done manually. We're not using any of the electronic droppers and timers and all of that. I am literally standing there with an eyedropper above a bowl of water, holding a remote clicker and trying to time everything perfectly. And it was, again, about 650 to 700 photos that I took trying to get this shot. I think I came away with about 6. So 1 in 100. And I know that's a low percentage and sounds crazy. It's frustrating, but I love this photo. I love another one that I had. But like I said, I didn't think it was going to work in this competition. I might pull it up at the end here to show everybody. Actually, you know what? It's in the other video. Watch that one.
There you go. So you got to watch the other video to get that. And I can't wait to see it, because this is definitely something, even though the frustration level is there, trying to get that shot. This is one of those things that I've always wanted to try. And I have a feeling, and this might be something that we do a competition, in the future, where I try something that you do a lot, and you try something that I do. And I really want to try this.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that a lot. Well, I mean, I laid out the instructions for you. I basically laid out everything that I use in that video. So I'm giving you the blueprint here.
There we go.
I'm excited to see what you can come up with when it comes to this.
So you're going to post that on our channel and let everybody. Oh, that's great. Perfect.
Yeah, so we're going to post this video, and then a day later I'll post the other one.
There we go.
I just want to edit it a little bit, but it's a lot that goes into this. Flashes, watercolor, just everything. And then, like I said, a lot of frustration. I did have to have a beer or two while I was doing this to try to keep myself relaxed. And I'll leave it at that. Watch the other video, see how I did this one. Thank you to everyone who voted for this. I appreciate it, because that was a process.
It won for a reason. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, visually, so it's a crown, and I know that there's a couple different types of water drops that tend to be the really good ones. And I'm assuming that the crown is one of those. If you can achieve that with the multiple little pieces that are coming up from it is a big thing. The fact that you got water still coming down for the drop. There's a reason why this one got first place. Well, absolutely well deserved. Love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I really like it. I'm excited to show everybody how it happened. I think this is one that's going to go up for sale on Kazoto Gallery.
There you go.
So I think we're going to throw that up there. We might even do a little limited edition here, signed
from
photo
the show. I like it.
Yeah, from the show here. So with that being said, I don't know how to name my water drop photos. I know people come up with some cool names. I want to leave this one up to the audience. So in the comments, I'm going to throw it on Instagram. Tell me what you think this one should be named, and I'm going to pick one out of a hat, and we're going to go from there.
I like it.
Yeah.
So everybody, put your thinking hats on and come up with a name for this.
All right, moving on, because number 2 was one of yours, and I really liked this photo. When I saw this, I was super nervous about my water drop coming in place here. So
thank you.
Tell me about this one.
So I knew what I wanted to do, and this was not one of them. This was, and I'm not going to say it's luck, because I've done a couple shots in the past with this. This was a setup of my iPad. So the glass screen of my iPad.
Okay.
Sprayed water on it. Now, normally I would have a table or something so I can do this nice and secure, but I didn't have time because the sunset was right where I wanted it. So I ran outside, got the water, sprayed it on top of my iPad. Thank God they're waterproof or whatever. Got my camera, and I'm sitting here like this, trying to get this shot and hold it steady. I really lucked out. One thing to note about this is, if you've ever heard of a focal plane, to know what your focal plane is, it's very evident in this photo. So you can see a line of in focus bubbles, which when it came to the sunset, just made this photo work for me, because the out of focus and the bokeh on the out of focus ones, just it lit up and it framed the bigger bubbles in the middle, which I actually had to set that up. I actually had to touch the bubbles and get those bigger in the middle the way I wanted it.
Okay. So you had to move some smaller ones to make the bigger one?
Yep.
Yep.
And that
so
comes from
that
experience.
Is cool.
That comes from experience. I knew how I wanted it. If I wanted to be able to see the sunset in the back, that's how I was going to have to do it. So,
yeah, I mean, I love this. So while we're on that subject, real quick, give me the definition of bokeh and the depth of field focal plane for anybody who might be new to photography, just getting into it. Explain that to everyone.
So bokeh is, and even how you say that, and we're probably going to have comments on that's not how you say it. Bokeh,
I remember everybody.
bokeh.
I'm from Philly. He's from the Chicago area.
So there's just that difference. Okay, so bokeh is anything that's out of focus. It is your pattern of out of focus. So you've kind of got a nice, clean, out of focus kind of circles that is that out of focus. That's your bokeh. And you can tell if you have, and not to say inferior, but if you've got glass that's just, a lens that's just not up to spec or up to speed, your bokeh is going to be very, very ugly.
Yeah.
When you see bokeh that you like, that's pleasing, you know it. When you don't, or when you see something that's just jagged and ugly, you know it. So bokeh is a big deal. So you want to get that bokeh done, outright.
So,
the other thing.
So something some people may be able to relate to is, you see some people post photos of, their children or something on Instagram, Facebook, and they've got that nice, really soft blur around in the background.
Absolutely.
Compared to some sharp, jagged edges.
Correct.
So that's a good way to think of bokeh there.
And your focal plane, depending on how you have your aperture, whether it's wide open or closed down, your focal plane is what is actually in focus in a photo. And it's
how much front to back, right?
Exactly. So in a photo like this, it's extremely easy to tell. If you have a landscape photo, it's your focal plane's huge. You've got right in front of the camera all the way to infinity. You can really, when you do macro photography, your focal plane, the amount that's in focus is a sliver that's just, it's very hard to work with.
So not to interrupt you, but for the people at home here, if I had to guess what your, depth of field focal plane here is, we're probably looking at a couple centimeters on this one.
Probably. Yep.
So just to give everybody an idea of what was being shot here, that part that's in focus is probably, if I had to guess, only about 2 to 3 centimeters deep. Yep. And then everything else, because again, we're talking about an iPad screen here, so it's not that big to begin with.
And this is a tiny section of that iPad screen as well. And in macro photography, well, thank you. In macro photography, you have to stop down. So this was actually at f11, and you would think that you would have the whole screen would be in focus, but your focal plane, the closer you get to a subject, the smaller that focal plane becomes, which is why macro photography can be rather challenging to get what you want in focus. Mm-hmm. The slightest movement takes that out of focus.
Changes it all.
Yep.
And I think what we'll do is one of us will step aside after this, or, in the next day or so, and we'll do a quick little 5-minute video on how aperture and the change in macro does the change in, focal length there.
Stay with us. We will walk you all through this.
Yeah. We want, again, when we started this, part of the allure of this was to make this engaging for everyone, not just photographers, for it to be for the beginners. So as we go through this stuff, and this is where you, the audience, can come into play too. If we say something you don't understand, leave it in the comments. We'll make a video about it. Yep. 5 minutes, everything you need to know about focal length. Boom. Here we go. So one of us will take care of that for you. Let's move on to that next photo. Unless you have something else you want to say about this one.
Nope. I'm ready for this next one.
All right.
In the contest, this was my favorite.
Oh, I appreciate that.
When I saw this, so we kind of teased each other's photos, and I saw this, and I pretty much I gave up at that point. I was like, "You win." So congratulations. This was a fantastic photo.
I appreciate that. This one was more fun to shoot than the previous one. As I said, the previous one was frustrating. This one was a lot of fun. I got to just say, hey, let's go splash in some puddles. She got real wide-eyed, and let's go. So this was a lot of fun. Again, I really like the edit of this one, and I'm going to, at some point, share the before picture and then what I did as far as the editing, and I might even walk through the editing a little
There you
bit. But what you had mentioned earlier about having that kind of sheen on the subject, for anybody who's getting into photography and learning to edit, one of the things that I can't stress enough is doing local edits. And what I mean by that is not editing the entire picture in one fell swoop.
Absolutely.
So when you use your filters on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it might be, whatever you're using to post photos, that's doing a global edit.
Global.
You're applying it across the whole thing. This picture here has a lot of small little edits to it. So, you know,
and it's not hard. So
it's not. It's not.
So throw in a filter. Filters have their place. I'm not going to say that they don't. Filters have their place, but in editing a real photo, something that you want to keep, something that you want to print, something that you want, local adjustments are the way to go. And it's not that difficult once you learn how to do it.
It's not.
Yep.
And a lot of it's just learning how to quickly do it. You know, what fits where. So, you know, I'll tell you right now, this one has a radial filter, which is basically a circle around my daughter here, where I then changed the exposure on the outside of her and the saturation. So those colors got muted. And then I doubled that up, but reversed it to bring the colors of her out. And then basically the side to her right, everybody's left, if you're looking at this, was so bright from the sun coming down on that water that I just took another linear filter and just toned down that side. Yep. And that really brought out the colors of her so that your eyes go to her, or the splash for that matter, and not all the stuff around it. One thing I just want to say about this photo, and this is a little bit of the street photographer and me coming out here, the stop sign in the background there was not an accident. I wanted to use that as a little bit of a narrative that sometimes we all need to stop and, you know, remember to just jump in a puddle and have some fun. So that was actually there on purpose. I thought about, you know, getting it out of there, and I took a shot without it in there. And I really liked having that, you know, there as a little message to everybody.
Have your photos
she
tell
just
a
had
story.
So much fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have them tell a story.
And street photography especially, there should always be a story. But I just wanted to make that point for everybody who may not have caught that. That's there on purpose, or somebody who may not have liked it. So,
well, great photo. Like I said, when I saw this one, if I would have guessed, I would have thought that this one would have been the winner. I really did.
You know,
and not that the drop was, and not that the drop was insignificant by any means, because it's awesome as well. I really thought that the puddle jumper was going to win. But hey, you know, everybody voted. Everybody really chimed in on the drop. So, but still, this one got good attention as well.
This one did. I think all of them got good attention. Yep. And, you know, just going back one step to everybody else, the blurred background here, this is a little bit of that bokeh that we're talking about.
It's clean,
real soft in the background. It doesn't look like there's jagged lines, so that kind of goes to that bokeh, and that comes, again, from the aperture, which was also just needed in general, because to freeze the water, to freeze the jump like that, we needed to shoot at a very fast shutter speed.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that another day as well.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Fourth photo. This one I thought was awesome. This to me is a computer background. And I don't mean that in any kind of offense. Yep. I would proudly put this on my computer background. I thought this was awesome. Tell me about this one, because like I said, I think this might have got a little lost on some people.
So this is just like your drop photography. In fact, the setup is probably very, very similar. The only difference is that I have to have a light source underneath so I've got a glass a bowl that I set this above a light source.
Okay.
And I will name that here in a little bit. And I put oil and water in. And depending on how I stir up the oil and water is how it's really hard to get the bubbles inside with air, because they actually want to pop and then go to what's right in the very, very middle. They want to go to just a dab of oil. So you can, just like your drop, I can take hundreds of these, and it's really after the fact that you've got to look at it and see what works for the screen. Now, I'm going to say what I didn't like about this one. And I was an hour and a half out when I was set it and when I got all this set up. And so to me, it's a little off focus, and I think that hurt this photo anyway. So visually it worked, but I think that the focus was missed. Again, hey, it's a very, very small focal range on something like this. The light source, again, I used my iPad.
I was just going to say, this was your iPad underneath, wasn't it? I really like that.
Yeah. So you can, and this is what's really cool about this, is because I can have this all the bubbles the way I want them, and I can sit here and scroll through the different colors that I've got. You can use your own photos, and it will come up with some really interesting looks underneath because it's completely blurred in the back.
Right.
And so it's just the light from them.
So what was on your iPad was a photo underneath shining up through?
Yep.
Very cool.
Had the brightness turned up as bright as I could. Yep.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. I thought this was very cool. I honestly could not quite put my finger on what it was. I had an idea, but knowing what I know now, it's all the more impressive.
Yep. So then you can see the edge on the top of all those bubbles. That was an LED light that I had also, and I would move that around to highlight the air bubbles that were in that. And that's kind of something, a lot of the videos that I've seen on how to do this, that wasn't really brought up, but I had my light next to me, about a year ago, and I tried some of these. And when I did that, it lit those air bubbles up and really just kind of added something to it for me. So I continue to take that approach.
Well, that is very cool. Very awesome. One of these days, I'm going to have you show me how to do this. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a video on that as well.
I'll do drops. You do this, and we'll see what we can come up with. I like it.
Okay. I like that.
Yep.
I'm going to have to get an iPad, it sounds like.
Your phone would work. Believe it or not, your phone would work. Yep.
Now, have you ever done that using, instead of a still photograph, using like a screensaver that's moving? So
I have not.
So maybe it's, you stay in the same spot, but you get different colors all the time.
I've never thought about that. That's actually kind of a cool idea.
Well, I guess I'll give that a shot then.
There you go. See?
I thought that was cool, and I'm curious from the viewers, when you first saw that, what was your initial thought? Because I knew kind of what it was. I didn't know for sure. So I want to know what their initial reaction was.
I know what my family has said because they've got no idea. So they'll look at it and they're like, "What is it? How? What is that?" Which is cool. I like the fact. I mean, but it turned out.
Yeah, and I really liked your B-roll photo of the back of your iPad with the water drops. Yep. I really liked it. I know your family advised against that one.
Well, so that was kind of a toss-up. It wasn't just my immediate family. I had actually, when I took that photo, to me, that was one of those like, oh, yeah, I like this. And I initially showed it to a few people. I got one like from my 4 kids, and nothing on them. They just didn't say anything. So I knew at that point that it wasn't quite there what I wanted. But the comments that I had gotten past that was, well, it looks like a product photo and not necessarily what you'd want to do for a competition. And I was like, you might be right. And now going back and the frantic hour and a half before the deadline, taking the oil and water, I'm thinking maybe I should have submitted that one, but hey.
I think they were all good. I did like your B-roll photo of the iPad, and I know your family's going to probably send me some hate letters here for always calling them out and saying that they made you change.
Yeah, we all bounce our ideas off of people. So
yeah, and I really liked it. I don't think being afraid of product photography should be an issue. I think that should be something that's available in this. I had thought about doing something with a bottle of water sitting on a bench by our trail, which is just down the street, and having that in focus, sitting on the bench with my fiance in the background, kind of blurred a little bit, out of breath, like she had just finished a run and the bottle of water was there. The timing and schedules just didn't quite match up to make that happen. There wasn't great weather. So didn't do that, but I know that would have looked probably a little bit like product photography unless I took the label off of it, but I might take that shot anyway one of these days just because I want to see how it looks.
So think about that. Just what you just said was exactly what we were hoping to get from this little competition. It is us thinking more about what shot we want instead of just walking around with our camera and trying to capture something. We know how to take a photo, but how to be creative. That's something you got. That's a challenge. That's what you got to work on. And
that's our challenge to everybody else as well. When we pull these cards, when we put that hashtag up, we want you to think about what you're doing as well. I had a couple friends who watched the episode and they said, "Oh, here's what I'm thinking." And I said, "Well, post it. What are you doing?
Do it.
Do it. I mean, we're not going to get on the air here and make fun of you.
Not at all.
Even if you don't want to, have us feature, just tell us. But let's see what you got. I'm really interested to see what everybody else has."
Absolutely.
So, we're going to pull this card here in a second, and we're going to throw this hashtag up on the screen. I want to see some more entries this week. We had a couple this week. We had a couple the first week. I want to see what everybody else out there has. So let's see what you got. So Brett, as usual, I've got 3 piles here. It's time. It's time to do this. Let's see what our challenge is for the rest of the week and what we can come up with. So
you got
3 piles.
Okay. 1, 2, or 3.
From my left, right, center. 3 piles. You tell me.
I'm going to make it easy. Middle.
All right. We have an item of clothing.
An item of clothing. All right. So this one's going to be a thinker.
This one's going to be something that you're going to have to think about. You're probably going to have to stage this one a little bit more.
A little bit.
This, it's not going to be a get out there and just get lucky.
My mind is working already. My mind is working already. All right.
Where our challenge is going to be, hit me with clothing. Hit me with _clothing. We're going to throw that up on the screen. We're going to post it on Instagram. Let's see what everybody's got out there. An item of clothing. That's your challenge. We hope to see everybody post some stuff. And as always, thanks for joining us this week.
With that, hit like, subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for all the votes.
Thanks, everyone.
It was great.
We really appreciate the engagement. We love seeing this channel grow. As Brett said, you hit that like, you hit the subscribe, you comment with anything. It really helps the channel. It helps other people find us. So thank you again, and we look forward to next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I can